back on the Boulevard Thursday, May 29th. As always, here to prove to you there is no such thing as football season. We're presented by the Believe Network tonight. He's TPG. I'm Matty Fresh. You know that feeling as a football fan when you've been looking forward to that one big game for weeks? You've had it circled on the calendar. Can't stop thinking about it. You wake up in the mornings, first thing on your mind. Go to sleep at night, you dream about it, until one day you just can't wait anymore. It's too much anticipation. So you fire up the Xbox, you play it out on Madden, you play it out on NCAA, knowing damn well this has zero effect on the actual outcome of the game. You just got to get your fix. That's exactly how I feel in Week 10 of the UFL with the Defenders and Battlehawks TPG. I just wish I could turn the injuries off.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of video games, College Football 26 put out that like deluxe cover. They're already getting cheap on us, right? Like this, I mean, 25, when they came out with the new game, like, yeah, everyone was excited, especially like people like me and you, right? We grew up playing the old college football video games. You could just tell they're just following the blueprint of Madden now. They're getting cheap with it. It's cheap, whatever, Photoshop cover that they had, but your boy James Franklin, I see him on there. So, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not what it used to be. I wish it was like how it was in NCAA 13 and 14. But you know, just gotta accept the fact, Matt. We're growing up. You know.
Yeah, you
Sucks.
can't miss that shiny bald James Franklin head on there. I think we got Nick Singleton on there for Penn State too. But can you imagine a EA Sports UFL video game? Like you'd be in there, you'd be driving down the field trying to score with a minute left. The game just ends, like NBA countdown comes on. Like can you imagine dynasty mode in there too? Like you finish up a game, you go back to the menu, you get a message like, you know, your player slapped a fan. How long would you like to suspend them? Like I'd buy that game. I'd love that game. That'd be a lot of fun to play. Make it realistic.
You could have it be like an open world GTA game, but then you could also play football. Like you could, yeah.
Text message from
cool.
Moose Johnston. You know, you win the divisions. Like, sorry, your home venue's unavailable this year. You have to travel. They could really do something with this. It's gonna be a lot of this tonight, folks. By the way, this is our last full 4-game preview show. So let's have some fun with it, TPG. Why don't we? We'll take a quick look at our standings. And outside of playing for pride, I mean, no real incentive to win your division this year. Home field out of the picture. I mean, I guess there's some stuff, but we're going to see a ton of new faces out there in Week 10 because of it. So I'm going to try to talk about some of those guys that maybe have been buried on the depth chart all year, getting some playing time. Remember, this is the league of opportunity, so you never know who's going to show out in Week 10 when you're least expecting it. It could even be our next guest on the Boulevard. Enjoy. Joined now by St. Louis Battlehawks quarterback Brandon Silvers. Brandon, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, for sure, man. I've been watching all year, so thanks for having me on.
Yeah, this is long overdue, this one. We wanted to have you on for a while. That now is the perfect time. And we want to ask you right off the top because by the time this airs on Thursday, I think depth charts will already be out. So we got to ask, are you getting the start this week?
Yeah, well, you know, I can't tell you that, but I guess you're going to have to wait like everybody else about the depth charts. But Coach Beck, he's made that clear. Whoever's in, you know, we're in there to play well and win the game. So, you know, I don't really know how much playing time either quarterbacks, you know, all the quarterbacks are going to get. So, you know, you're going to have to wait and watch that one on Friday night.
Well, regardless, you're heading back to D.C. Friday, and for any Defenders fans that are watching who didn't know, although I'm sure some of them were there, Brandon scored the first touchdown in Audi Field history as the visiting quarterback for the Seattle Dragons back in 2020. Do you still have that ball, or is that somewhere in a case in Canton?
I believe I still have that one. The nice, you know, green, orange, and white painted football that we had to throw around back in the day. So it's at my house somewhere. You know, hopefully I haven't lost it yet. But yeah, I still have that one.
Yeah, that one looked good spinning through the air. I wish they'd go back to something like that. I mean, I know people said it was corny, but I kind of like watching that thing fly fly through the air. That was a nice paint job on it.
Those are probably the
Um,
worst footballs ever made, ever. I will say one thing bad about they were the worst, especially throwing them every day in Seattle where it was a light rain every day.
oh yeah.
Throwing those footballs. Those are probably the worst. And then I'm not really much of a green and orange guy, but whatever.
Yeah, I forgot you guys were actually in Seattle. You didn't like fly out every week. That's right.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
didn't have
so
to get on a plane every weekend to travel somewhere. Yeah, those were the good days.
so let's talk a little about your current team. Battlehawks are 5-0 since they re-signed you to come help out the young Max Duggan. So tell me a little about the last month or so, and maybe some of the differences between being in a quarterback room this year where you're the vet compared to last year where it was you and AJ and Manny and everybody kind of had been around the block.
Yeah, just getting back into football. Really, I think I was pretty much done with it. I know there was an option to come back, probably in the season if something went down. But just being around Max, being around Seneca, just being in a quarterback room, and there's just nothing like a football locker room. I mean, just being back with the guys, having fun. So, it's been really fun. Obviously, winning helps. Max is taking us to 5-0. Hopefully we get to this win this week, and then obviously got to beat your defenders next week to get in the championship game. But man, I've had so much fun this year, just being back with the guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a fun last month for you, and obviously getting to watch you against San Antonio was a treat in the second half last week. I've been wanting to ask you this kind of since last year. So last year when you were with St. Louis and you guys are gearing up for that playoff game against San Antonio, just a lot of connection there. Did AJ Smith have to change anything, knowing that like, hey, Brandon's over on the other sideline, he knows the entire offense? Like I just imagined you like in meetings with the defense that week.
There was a lot of meetings with the defense on all three of the weeks that we were playing them. So I just try to help them out the best way I could. Obviously I wasn't there, so I don't know. He always changes some little wrinkles here and there, but all their run game stuff, they don't have much besides this year. They have a lot this year now, but last year it was same kind of run game and throw it around a little bit. So I try to help out the safeties and really the safeties as much as possible on their pass game. But so yeah, I try to help as much as I could.
Yeah, and when you get into this offense, obviously, the guys that were running it before you came in between Manny and Max, both, 10, 12 carries a game. Was that, did Phil McGagan look at the offense and say, okay, we're going to do something differently with Brandon, or is that just kind of the same system and then they're scrambling as they see fit, or is it more an offense built for a running quarterback?
I'd say, I'm not the runner that those guys are. It's more of a drop back game for me because that's what, I'm used to. And that's kind of my game. My game is not running the ball, even though I did pull one last week. But, I thought I was going to get the edge, but I obviously didn't. But yeah, I think he goes into a different mindset when I'm in there and then a different mindset when Max is in there. But Max still threw it 17 times in the first half the other day. So it's not like we don't pass the ball or nothing like that, but it's more of a QB run kind of, run game when when Manny was in there. So yeah, for me, it's more of a drop back game and try to sling it around a little bit.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about the present here. Obviously, you have a million stories to tell in your career, and I think your past is so fascinating playing in all these different leagues. So we talk about some of your football connections over the years. Who was the better teammate, Johnny Manziel or AJ McCarron?
Oh, Johnny Manziel for sure. Johnny Manziel for sure. There's no question about it. You know, there's no
Yeah.
question about it. Obviously, me and AJ are close, but me and Johnny were close for a little bit too. But I had to live with AJ, so yeah, I would say Johnny was definitely he was definitely the better teammate for the 2 weeks. I only had me and Johnny only were teammates for 2 weeks, not a whole year.
I think AJ lived with him too at the Manning camp. Here's some stories about that's a story for another day. But
Yeah, well, that's for another day.
do you remember, speaking of the AAF? Do you kind of remember where you were when everybody found out that the league was folding? And I assume that was a little more sudden than when COVID hit and XFL shut down.
My story and all the Memphis story was we were just got done meeting all morning. We were leaving at 11 o'clock to go practice at the stadium, and they were like, "No, I'll come back. League's folding." Like I went back to the house, got something, and they were like, Christian Hackerberg called me. He was like, "Hey, come back to the facility. I think the league's done." I was like, "Huh?" So we went back, and then Coach Singletary told her, "Yeah, we don't really know much, but he said we're not practicing today, and the league's probably done." So at that point, we were just like, "All right, well, we got a couple of days left. Let's go have a good time." So we did.
Hey, at least you guys were so you were in Memphis. I know weren't some guys on the road at that
Some,
point?
some,
Yeah.
so with Memphis, me and Hack had a Airbnb, but a lot of people were at the team hotel, and they told them to get out now because I don't know if they didn't pay, the league didn't pay for it because I believe the league was supposed to be paying for those hotel rooms,
Yeah.
whatever deal they had, and they told them to get out now, like this afternoon, like.
All right.
It was. I mean, still haven't heard anything from it. That was 6 years ago, but it is what it is. It's life.
Yeah, and then hit the very next year with a league that was going so well with the XFL, and I know Seattle was kind of central to that. I think the first thing was, the first red flag was that there was somebody that was working at the stadium or something that had it, and then Lumen Field locked the Dragons out, and they said you're not playing here, and I know Vince McMahon pushed back and was like, we want to keep the league going, and they held out as long as they could, but that one, it seemed like guys maybe had a little more notice that it was about to go down.
We knew about it a couple weeks before everyone else.
Yeah.
There was a person that was in the concession stands that got it, and it was he or she, I don't know, but they had it out there, so we kind of knew about it. I think I had it. I didn't dress out the last game because I was just totally sick, and I didn't even dress out, and they put me on a commercial flight back home. So I'm like over there, like they wouldn't even let me fly back with them. So I had to catch a commercial flight back to Seattle that night, and then a couple of days later, league's over with. So, I think that XFL really, really had a chance if it wasn't for COVID, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I remember 30K or 35K, something crazy in Seattle for that opening game. Like wild to think some of the crowds that we had. It's just a different time now. But now you get to play in St. Louis, which is obviously the one that's still drawing 35. I mean, they could probably get 40K with the marketing going around for this playoff game. People have a lot of notice, so that'll be cool to see. Speaking of the Battlehawks, my co-host TPG is here, big time Battlehawks fan. He wants to ask you a couple questions. TPG, go right ahead, man.
What's up, Brandon? Congrats on the win last week, and it was great to see you get some tick after a couple seasons. So we really appreciate you coming on and joining us tonight.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was fun to get back out there and throw it around a little bit for sure.
I'm sure, and you look great. So it didn't look like you missed a beat at all. So I got to ask right off the top: you're a former high school basketball player. Can you still dunk?
Can I still dunk? Probably not. But I'm gonna say probably not. So I might could, but I haven't tried to dunk in forever. But I used to dunk in high school though.
At least you could still sling it though.
Yeah,
Still look pretty damn good out there.
I try not to jump too high. I don't want something happening to my knees.
Yeah, exactly. Stay on the ground, where it's safe. So a little backstory for the listener. So you're a senior at Troy, and you guys traveled to Baton Rouge to play LSU. And small world moment, the opposing quarterback in that game is Danny Etling. He's starting at LSU. So what was it like to go into Death Valley, Tiger Stadium, and come back home with a win?
Yeah, I mean, the year before we went into Clemson's Death Valley and lost 30-24, and we were in that game. Some close calls that didn't go our way, but so the next year we go into Death Valley at night, homecoming. That's probably the coolest environment you can have in college football on a Saturday night is at LSU. And just from the first play, safety came up, hit the running back, fumbled. We go down there and scored. I had a rushing touchdown that game, so back when I had some wheels, but just winning there and just winning. I mean, that was just a big deal for the program at Troy, and then obviously it was just fun for me and my buddies, to go in there and win as well.
Absolutely, and just kind of looking at your college career and like how the team improved year in and year out, consistently getting better record. Like I bet that was a great moment to show all the guys like, hey, this hard work really is paying off.
Yeah, I mean,
And you guys,
my first year starting was 3-9. Got a new coach, Neil Brown. He kind of transformed the whole culture back to what it used to be. Go 4-8 that first year of his, and then we knew we play really good ball, and then last two go 10-3 and 11-2 with 2 bowl game. I mean, that's what you asked for, man. I was started 4 years and got better every year, so I'm just excited to see where we took Troy when we were there.
absolutely, that's awesome. So over the years, you've gained a ton of experience playing in these spring leagues, but your coach, Seneca Wallace, also had a solid 10-year career in the NFL. So
Mhm.
what's it like having a quarterback coach that just brings all that experience to the table?
Man, it's awesome. It's always great to learn from an NFL vet, and his quarterback coach was Jim Zorn. So,
Oh
we
yeah.
have that connection now that obviously when I was in Seattle in 2020. So no, we talk about, Zorn coaching him all the time. So, it's good to have that connect. He lives up by my cousin's house, so we talk about Prosper all the time. So, I mean, he's just cool to get in there and just hang out with and talk football with.
So I got to go off script a little bit, but the Fox broadcast, they bleeped out something you said, Seneca, on Friday. You want to tell us what you said, or
I don't even remember.
you
I don't
know?
even. Ain't no telling. When I'm in the game, it just happens.
I was mad too because you gave us some great mic'd up moments. So one comes to
Yeah,
mind is calling Francis Bernard like, "Oh, you should have caught it, bitch!" Like
yeah,
that. Those
yeah.
were always so funny. So I was like, "Come on, Fox! Like,
What's
just
what's
let."
funny? What's funny is I played golf with Francis and Trent and Jordan like the next year, and we were all talking about that moment, that video. We played
Oh,
golf.
it was so funny. I know Matt. He was angry when it happened. I was like sending him videos, tweeting it at him. You
Yeah,
could
it's
tell he was a
it's
little salty, so
yeah.
I absolutely love that. So since you've been around this spring scene for so long, so I asked Travis Feeney this last week, but do you have any favorite moments playing professional football?
Uh, Man, I tell you what, I don't really have one, but probably. Definitely throwing the first touchdown in XFL 2020 history. Definitely that. I mean, that's you just can't take that back. I mean, I enjoyed playing out in Seattle with all the fans out there, and just the environments. You gotta love the environments that the XFL had. So I just when you look back, man, I've had a great time playing in these leagues. It didn't happen for me in the NFL, and that's okay. And I've been fine with that for years. But these leagues have been great for me to keep playing, and my family loves it, still loves it. I mean, my mom told me before I came back today, or a month ago, that she just wanted to see me, perform again, and and that's all she can ask for. She didn't care. She don't care if it's NFL or whatever. Like she just loves seeing me have fun and play football. So that's who I really play for is my fam, and like I said, they enjoy watching me even go out on the field a little bit still.
Yeah, I love the opportunity spring football brings to guys because in the NFL, like it's very politically driven. It's very, there isn't much difference between, a third string guy and a starter. Like there's
Yeah,
really minor things. So it's great to see, these spring leagues get to provide you guys another opportunity to get back in the league or just,
yeah,
just play the game you love,
yeah.
obviously. Like you guys played for so long. So I just love everything that it brings.
Mhm.
So I got one more question for you, and then we could get out of here. Who is a better golfer, you or McCarron?
Me for sure. Me for sure, and that's a real deal. Me, I'll say this, and he'll probably watch. We have played 2 times for money. 2 times. I beat him both times. I haven't seen a dollar, even though he invites me to Pebble every year. That's just give him, money back. And he hasn't played me for a third because I whipped his ass the twice we have played for money. So, I can't say that he owes me money since he invites me out to Pebble every year, but he might owe me a little bit.
I
But
absolutely love it. That's awesome. Well, Brandon, we appreciate you joining us. Best of luck this Friday at DC, and hopefully we could
yeah,
see you throw a couple more touchdowns this
yeah.
Friday.
We'll
That'd
see.
be
We'll
great.
see. We'll see what happens in the game. I don't really know the whole game plan right now, so I guess we'll have to wait for that depth chart to come out.
Yeah, we'll be waiting for it. We'll be ready.
Well, I tell you what, Brandon, with AJ signing this new podcast deal and all this real estate money coming in, you think he'd have some extra change to pay
No,
his
it's
debt
unbelievable. I mean, like,
off?
we were just playing for fun, and then we're like, hey, let's just, play a couple times. And, he stopped after 2 times.
We got to get AJ back on soon. I'm sure he's been tuned in every Battlehawks game, watching every play. I'm sure that's something that's been a big deal for him this year. But no, I want to ask you again too, with like all the guys that come on here, that have been in all the different leagues. We like kind of compare and contrast things that worked. I guess with this one, we know XFL 2020 was on a great path, and that one got derailed by COVID. So kind of restarting in 2023 with the Roughnecks and seeing the crowds you guys had for Houston, who, was excited to be back after what PJ Walker and Cam Phillips and all those guys did there. Like some good crowds there. And then you guys were very good that season and, got to the playoffs, won the division. So, I mean, obviously, when you look at it now, coming through the merge, you're a guy who survived the merge, went to a different team. Is spring football, you think, in a better place now when it comes to things maybe off the field? Because everybody wants to judge ratings, everybody wants to judge attendance. Sometimes the league can't necessarily control those things. What they can control is taking care of players, equipment, insurance, benefits, the right pay with the new CBA, and then even just like little things like the trainers and things that you guys have available to you. Right now, from like a living situation, do you think all that considered, we're in a better place than we were? Or do they still have work to do to get back to where, I don't know, maybe XFL 2023 was?
Yeah, I'll just go off of this XFL 23 because that's the same, ownership. Um, I think being an XFL player, we got treated so well. I mean, like just from top down, we got treated so well. I mean, yeah, we lived in we had to travel, do all that stuff, and they gave us hotels to live in. I got lucky and I was by myself. But man, just like there needs to be a lot of things handled, which you would think that would happen after the second year. But I think for an XFL player, I think kind of stepped down a little bit. Not saying that we're not on the right track, but it's taking them a little bit to get back to the XFL level of high quality stuff being around. Now, there's some stuff that has the strength and conditioning staff. The weight room is so much better. I'll say that. Sean Hayes does a great job with us, and everything is great from an in-house St. Louis Battlehawk player personnel, coaches, teammates, all that stuff that you see every day is great. That's awesome. But just as a league wide, you're just looking. I'm like, I went to Memphis the other day. There's nothing downtown Memphis. There's just
Right.
it's like you got to market these teams in town. So it's just to me, it's like they got to do a lot better at marketing in house. But we are out here just to play football, and it is what it is. But yeah, I think we're not there yet as a league as a whole, in my opinion. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and you being a guy who, played for the Express, played for the Dragons, played for the Roughnecks. I mean, we're sitting here now at a point where people are talking about the viability of Memphis and Houston as a market, period. Like, I'm not sure if those discussions are going on internally, but at least, there's been some rumors around that, Memphis and Houston obviously and might be on the out, and that's crazy because you spent a lot of time in Texas and a lot of time in Houston, and I don't know, it didn't seem that way
back in
No.
2023. It seemed like you guys
And,
had.
and that's what I've tweeted this before I even signed. I'm like, well, if Wade Phillips is still in Houston, who had a day named after him before our first game in 23, if they didn't fire him, because that's what happened, they fired him for this other coach to come in that never been to Houston before. Fan base got pissed off, and that's why they don't show up. So that's on Fox Sports.
Yeah.
The XFL people wanted us still to be there because that was our team. But Fox Sports, you got all these, you got all these egos or whatever. But they want a 4-4, which that's fine. Okay, but call them the Gamblers because that's y'all's team. Don't call them the Roughnecks. But if they still had Wade in Houston, it'll be fine. It would have been fine. So
Wow.
that's just one of the things that I believe, in my opinion, they messed up. It's a merger. You're not going to have everything right, but they really messed up with that move, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you kind of see this with San Antonio as well. Obviously, they had an AAF team, and then I think fans just get sick of it. Like they have when they have a couple teams fold. Like now, it's going to be tough to go back to Seattle. They had a pretty good thing going, but yeah, just like outside of all that, I guess the one positive we can focus on for you from when you started in 2023 with the Roughnecks, going back to last year, and now even getting in the game this year, does it feel like defenses are better as a product of the merge? Because like this season, before you got re-signed, it was off to a super slow start on offense. I think just about every under came through, and now it's completely flipped where guys are getting comfortable. Is it just talent is better now and you have a lot more because of the merge, or is it more of just hey, you guys need more time to settle in with the offense?
Yeah, it's both of that. The talent, I mean, it's the best talent that besides the NFL, this is the second best talent that you can have, and I think their talent has gotten better over the years. But yeah, it takes a while. You have 3 weeks of training camp, and everyone gets a rep. But like once you've established a starter, or you have teams like DC with Jordan, Arlington with Luis, and these guys that have played there for years, those teams are going to do better off the start offensively. And then these teams that have new quarterbacks and have new DNA, it's just going to take them time because it's just tough. Football's hard, So you got all these teams that every under hit. I'm like, I told all my buddies to take the under. So they were happy with me because I'm like, that's just football. And like, you got these new teams, the defenses, yeah, for the most part, hey, see ball, get ball. Offense, everybody has to come together. And so, it's hard to score points early on in the season, but now like you seeing, Michigan's offense going off, you got all these guys. I mean, Birmingham's offense been looking great with Jamar back because he's been in that system.
Right.
So, all these guys are playing well now, and the offenses are getting there because they've had time to, develop and, have a couple games underneath their belts.
Yeah, and kind of last question before we get you out of here, sort of a follow up to that. AJ Smith had tweeted out the 23 Roughnecks with the same staff with Wade and AJ and all those guys. They were the first one to bring in 3 new quarterbacks every year. I think 23 it was you, Nolan Henderson, and somebody, and then the next year it was Garbers and Dormady, Hogan, and then I guess they brought Hogan back, but he was more of a QB3, and then it was Kellen Mond and Garantano. Do you see a shift when it comes to spring football where definitely in the XFL 2020 and even in a bit of 23, it was a lot of like, hey, we're going to get like established guys who have played in prior spring leagues and like, can get the job done, to where now it seems like maybe there's more of a focus on younger guys who haven't played spring ball, so they're learning a new offense, but they maybe have a better shot to get back to the NFL. Is there kind of that emphasis trending towards younger quarterbacks? And how has that changed since you like first started playing spring ball?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably always good to have a younger guy in the quarterback room. Like we have Chef, I think he just got out last year, and for him to learn for a year, because the NFL is so hard to get in and stay in. Like it's harder to get there and then to stay there. Like there's only a couple quarterbacks that actually get to stay there every year. So it's just like I said, football's hard. It's hard to get in the NFL, but yeah, you do need some young guys, but you need some older guys that have been in the spring leagues and know what it's like, because it ain't always, it's a lot of, bullshit. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Just call it how it is. It is what it is. But I mean, that's what we sign up for. So it is, we talk about the food we get every day, the little box lunches. It's just like, it is what it is. You eat it.
Yeah.
But like, you just got to deal with it. But you can go get your own damn food, I guess. But so it's just a bunch of stuff that you got to get on the damn plane every weekend and fly out to somewhere and just fly right back. it's just a lot of, like I said, BS, and you just gotta be used to it. Have a guy that's used to it and deal with it really,
Right.
because you don't get any real home games unless you're Arlington, which that's one of the things I hope they can change. I don't see it changing, but I wish they'd put each team back in their cities because that helps out with marketing the teams as well if they know they're in their own cities. And that's why I wish, that they'd go back to obviously have training camp in Arlington, but going back into the cities and being around, walking downtown, doing all this stuff, like, that's how you get people to the games, especially in markets that need, some fan attendance. They have issues with it.
Yeah, and I think with XFL 2020, it's just Vince McMahon had set the bar so high for like the standard of quality when it came to play and broadcast and marketing and social media, and that's so hard to get back to. I think right now we're stuck in a pattern of a balance between what can we afford and then what can we realistically pull off without losing money. And seems to me like the only solution here is to maybe get some owners. It's just tough because then you need 8 owners. You can't just have somebody come in, buy St. Louis, and then the rest of the league owned by Fox. So that's going to take years of work. But yeah, I'm hoping we can get back there. You hear the crazy rumors of like Tom Brady wants a team. And
I saw the Tom Brady. I saw the Kelsey brothers just a couple minutes before I came on. So I'm like, well, hey, that's the way to go and get football guys to own these teams and don't make it too much for them to buy teams just so they can be active and helping us. Like, who wouldn't want to play for Tom Brady? Obviously, he owns Raiders, but like, the Kelsey brothers, man, Jason's hilarious. Travis is awesome. Like, who wouldn't want to go play for those guys?
Right.
So it's like I hope that they go after guys like that to come and own the leagues, and that would be cool for for the players also.
Listen, I've been pushing this. My dream scenario: John Gruden, DC head coach. And AJ Smith as his offensive coordinator. If they could somehow pull that off, that would be my spring football dream scenario.
Just give Gruden a head coaching job. That's going to raise the fan attendance.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
I mean, you can put him anywhere. I saw where they might be getting back to Tampa Bay Bandits.
You never know, right? And yeah, you see how it is, even with like when they did the little thing with Johnny coming in mid-season to Memphis, like that was insane.
And the whole lower bowls were full. All types of stuff. I mean, even in the Memphis Express days, they had suites. Not suites, but they had sections off where all of it's all inclusive. And my family had the best time in Memphis because they got to drink and eat for free. They had a great time. But everyone was, we had decent fan attendance because they did stuff like that. And I was just thinking, I'm like, they should be doing that again because who doesn't want to go pay $30? All you can do is drink and eat. Like, I'm there.
Yeah, they got to do something. Now they got the $2 beers and $2 hot dogs, but, getting kind of desperate.
I got all these ideas. They just got to call me. I might not be a very smart guy, but, I have some of these ideas. Maybe they'll call me one day. But
yeah, it's like you'll hear the same thing from a lot of guys who have played in these leagues, especially from AJ. He used to come on here all the time and say he wants to be involved. He loves the league. He had that emotional moment after the playoffs last year where he said, I love Springball, I love the UFL, I love being involved. And it's just like, I do wish there was more of a players union to where guys would get more of a say on things. But I guess we can do wishful thinking for now. It is a startup, and like any startup business, it's going to take some years to get things off the ground. But Brandon, we really appreciate you joining us, man. I hate that you're on my rival now, but hey, we're just gonna have to deal with that. We can be friends. We can still be friends. It's
okay.
AJ and I pulled it off.
Yeah, it's all good. You're just trying to win a football game. It is what it is. Like I said, I've golfed with Jordan a couple of times and played with them, so it's all good.
It's awesome, man. Well, good luck. I'll actually be down there at Audi Field on Friday. I'll have to say what's up. And, appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Just some great insight from Brandon there. Really tough to find anyone else in spring football that's just that in touch with the game, DPG.
Yeah, I said this to you after, but I think that might have been our best interview yet. I mean, he dropped some great stuff in there. Such a fun guy to chat with, great personality, and yeah, I'm just super pumped he's back in the spring football scene and playing for my team. So it just can't get any better. We need more Long John Silvers.
Yeah, just the insight into like the evolution of the game and some of the stories he told us. Just really good content. I think perfect for Week 10 when people are looking at other areas for content other than just the X's and O's of what we normally do here on the Boulevard. So good to have Silvers on, and it'll be fun to catch up with him on Friday night when I head to Audi Field. We did get official depth charts right after his interview. Unfortunately, Brandon Silvers is not the starter. Max Duggan will get the go. Probably same as Week 9. We do expect Silvers to get at least a half here. St. Louis and D.C. under the Friday night lights, but honestly, this feels more like a JV game. 4 starters out for the Battlehawks. I think I counted 7 for DC, including Jordan Tamu, who will be QB3 here. Defenders are 2.5-point favorites. The total is 44.5. Forecast looks terrible. 65, heavy rain for the Audi Field finale. I thought about maybe reconsidering making the drive down, but I got to be there because you never know when your last game at Audi Field's going to be. Like, these things aren't guaranteed. I know they say we're going to have a 2026 season, and I believe them. You just never know because it's spring football, so I'm going to make sure I go. What do we know about this game? Well, the first thing we know is that everybody in the UFL front office, TPG, is going to be rooting on your St. Louis Battlehawks because they don't want to deal with DC. They don't want to deal with us. They don't want to deal with the bitching, the moaning I'll do all next episode. They don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I guess it would. I guess it would imply the tiebreaker. What even are the tiebreakers? Do we know? Like, I know you were Mr. XFL tiebreakers. Like, have you gone in the weeds yet?
Yeah, it's pretty simple here. See, if DC would win, they'd travel to St. Louis, and if St. Louis would win, they'd travel. They would also play in St. Louis. So pretty simple time.
Just a dumb question by me.
If we're talking like for real, I think DC's 6-3. So if DC gets the win, they have the head-to-head sweep, so they get the 1 seed. Yep. And if St. Louis were to win, they're 8-2, and DC 6-4. So there you go. There's no tiebreaker really. Just head-to-head.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so whoever wins this one is getting the 1 seed, the glorified 1 seed. Thank
you, Houston Roughnecks.
Yeah. I don't want to see anyone get hurt, obviously. That Houston game was hard enough to watch for me. You got Chris Rowland out there just sacrificing his life. Abram Smith went down at one point on his bad knee. Jordan Tamu trying to make tackles on interception returns. Like, I've seen enough. You could offer me a 30-point loss in exchange for a clean bill of health here coming out. I'd be okay with it. I do not care what the score of this game is. I just want to see our guys healthy for June 8th. And people are going to call me crazy for that, but like, I'm not going to get caught up in the chirping and the pushing and shoving that's ultimately going to go on in this rivalry. I'm a broadcaster. Let the players on the field, play for pride. I'm thinking about it as I want my team to have a best chance to win this playoff game on June 8th, and you got to be logical about that. But good luck trying to explain that to a player in this rivalry who, like Travis Feeney, right, who's just out there to kill somebody. So think about, your history for St. Louis in Week 10. I mean, just historically a bust. You think back to XFL 2023, you guys dropped, 50? And
52, I think.
All for nothing. Like, didn't make it anyway because of some bogus tiebreaker. Last year, beat the Brahmas.
Yeah.
Who cares? Lost to them the very next week. So you'd think you learned your lesson if you're Anthony Beck. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what to expect here. I'm not saying throw the game by any means, but it's like the more energy that you waste trying to make a big statement here. Like, I know he said, I can't stand out having 7 wins. It's like, don't try to make a statement here because statements require energy behind them, and you need to conserve your energy as much as you possibly can. Again, no one's throwing the game. It's just keep it simple. Keep it vanilla, right? Let's just get through this healthy. I mean, if you're DC, you're going Mike DiLello full game. Smart decision. That's a great plan. I think Jordan, would you say he has the MVP locked up? I would say yes.
Yeah, I think so. Well, Bryce not playing the last couple of weeks have really helped his case.
So if Bryce would play,
even if
let's say Bryce, we don't know yet. Depth charts for that game haven't come out for Michigan Houston. Bryce was jogging around a little at practice this week. If Bryce were to go for even a half and kill it, does that change anything? If Jordan doesn't play at all, which he's not going to here.
I think Bryce is definitely like probably one of the most dynamic, probably the best player in the league, you know, dynamically, all that. But I do like, you look at the stats, right? Tamu has walked away with it. He has definitely separated himself from every other quarterback in the league. So I'm kind of at a point where it's like, yeah, Bryce has had a great year. Michigan, a lot of success, but like, I don't see how you don't give it to Tiamu.
Yeah, and just make him OC for the night. Like, let's have some fun here. Let him call the offense. Why not? Like, it would be the perfect. I mean, he could do it. I know he could do it. Like,
Definitely.
that would be entertaining to, like, if you want some numbers on Fox, like, hey, you know, open up the broadcast, be like, Jordan Tamu's calling the offense tonight. Like, we're gonna mic him up the whole game. That'd be electric to watch.
That'd be great.
But you know, there's even some other guys like I would sit. Deion Jackson comes to mind. Definitely Chris Rowland. Cornell Powell's a guy that's probably gonna sit. And then even like some defensive guys, DeAndre Baker, Anthony Hines. I know for sure Powell's out. I think Hines is out as well. Bryce Thompson, another guy out. But some of these other guys like Rowland, like they're gonna have to play. Just not enough players on the field for them to rest. So hopefully they can manage that. TPG on the Battlehawks side of things. What are you looking for in this one?
Well, before I get to mine, I'm still fixated on this college football 26 cover, Matt. And after looking at it a little closer, I think you're somewhere in the background.
No shit.
Wearing a Tyler Warren jersey, I think.
I never got a check, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah, exactly. Pay this man his royalties. But
Where's
I mean,
my NIL?
looking
I
at
just use my NIL.
Exactly. You're too old. You don't fit in that era of college
gone, right?
athletics. Exactly. But yeah, looking at this game, right, from a player and coach perspective, obviously these guys care. They're playing to win. Beck said that in his presser after the game on Friday that he's sick of winning only 7 games. Like he wants to go for 8. So he seems pretty motivated. And I think, you know, as a coach and a player, there's never a spot where you let up, right? Like you see it in the NFL all the time. Like you talk about tanking and all this, but even the teams that are, you know, skidding down the stretch of the season, like they do find opportunities to rally because at the end of the day, like they're playing for their job. They're playing for another opportunity. So I don't really see from a player's perspective, them running, like rolling over and saying like, you know what, you guys could have this game. But the real game's next week. I still think guys are going to play hard, but you know, the coaches, it kind of all falls on, you know, the play callers, right? Especially Phil McGagan for the Battlehawks, like what he's willing to show and maybe like what he's willing to like set up for next week, right? I think that's really important. And, so like you said, DiLello probably is going to get the majority of the game. You said the depth chart came out. They got Max at QB1 for the Battlehawks.
QB1.
Yep. So I do like the Battlehawks in this game. They do have the better backup quarterback. We just talked to Silvers. I mean, and he was not afraid of slinging around. Like that guy had a ton of fun. You could tell like he's really been licking his chops to get back out on the field and just do what he does. So any opportunity for him to play, he's going to make the most of it. So I do like the Battlehawks in this one, but I'm weary, Matt, because it's like we saw the same situation last year. You pointed it out. We play the Brahmas, and after talking to Steven, I believe, at the beginning of the season, he was like, hey, like in our minds, that was like our playoff game, right? And it was hard for them to get up the following week. I don't want to see that happen again. So and I know people want me and you to go at each other's necks for this game, but you know what? I'm just gonna my pick's gonna be the Hawks, but I'm not gonna lose sleep if they lose this one.
Yeah, speaking of Steven Gonzalez, he's out this week. Actually, Jared.
Jeez, I gotta pull this up then.
Yeah, Jared Jones-Smith out as well. So they're going 2 backup linemen. Gary Jennings was out. That was the only real notable ones. I think Fiolu's back. Nice to get him back for a game before playoffs. But yeah, I don't know why Anthony Beck insists on playing Max Duggan here. I just like his style of play is not catered to staying healthy. He's dealt with many injuries already in his career. I guess they told him last week, do not scramble, and he didn't. He only had 1 carry. So maybe if you're going to tell him that again, but why are you sticking your quarterback out here with no left tackle and left guard? Like you're starting 2 brand new linemen, and you got Malik Fisher and, those guys coming off the edge. I don't see it. I just play Silvers the whole game. There's no reason to play Max here. So we'll see. Maybe just a drive, and then maybe they yank him. But I'm surprised the defenders are 2.5-point favorites here, and I'll tell you why. Sunday, Friday, that short week, we've seen this a million times. Like, you do not bet a team that's coming off the Sunday night game having to go in and play Friday. It doesn't matter that DC's home. They're in Arlington right now. They're going to have to flight just like St. Louis. That's not a great turnaround, especially when you've coming off a loss and you got guys banged up. The defense is pretty banged up from last week. So, yeah, I don't like any bets here. Give me DC, of course. And it's really for one reason and one reason only. I would love nothing more than to see St. Louis choke on this big silver spoon that's been put in their mouth since birth of this franchise. And you better hope, TPG, that St. Louis does earn the home field on Friday, because if not, and they do go on to win it all, asterisk in the record books, draw an asterisk on the UFL championship, because we already know what's going to happen here, right? That you cannot claim a title without a little controversy if this sets up to be the case. So you better hope they win this game.
You're arguing the facts, though, of spring football. Like, we've seen this so many times. All right, then you could put an asterisk by the Arlington Renegades in 2023. You could put an asterisk by the Birmingham Stallions in 2022, by your logic, right? They had the advantage, right? Birmingham, home field in USFL. Arlington, they what do you mean?
Well, I guess I'm not up to par on the B League, but did Birmingham
USFL? But they played every game at home, so they had the advantage. Like, they had the crowd, they had the advantage, right? Arlington, you take one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and you just pluck them off Vegas and put them on the Renegades. So it's like this shit happens in spring football. So it's nothing new, and I'm not gonna lose sleep over it.
You had that asterisk.
All right, give us the asterisk. All I care about is the dub. Let's win. I'm going to be there in St. Louis. I want to be partying in the locker room with the players. I want to be stone colding beers with Jake Sutherland. I want to be smoking cigars with Steven Gonzalez. I want to be flicking up with Travis Feeney. So, yeah.
It doesn't matter because the league's not going to let DC win this game. It's going to be another 1 penalty outing from St. Louis. They blew the whistle 1 time on him last week, and it was on offsides with 10 seconds left. They didn't get penalized, so I'm telling you, this is setting up. I love it. I hope that everybody stays healthy and we go into June 8th, because this is probably the last time that people are going to see us where we're actually getting along. So
no, you pissed me off with that comment. I'm pulling a you when we previewed this game last time. It was all fun and games, and then you make a comment like that. No, I'm fucking heated. I hope we bury you guys on Friday night and you're there to witness it. It's gonna be like the game last year at Audi Field all over again. You're gonna be sitting in that press conference room with Shannon Harris all alone. You're the only one asking questions. You're gonna be intimidated as fuck. So yeah, you know what? Battlehawks, roll them. We'll roll them 2 weeks in a row.
Do not care. We could lose by 30. Just nobody get hurt. That's all I care. A lot more on the line for you, because my team can't play at home. So I know we're gonna have to go through it anyway. I want that extra. I would love that little bit of extra bragging rights to know that the league took something that DC earned away, gave it to St. Louis, and we would still win on June 8th. again, this is going to be a fun show coming up. I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, we have 3 other games to talk about this week, so we can't spend too much time. Let's do Houston, Michigan. Panthers, 7-point home favorites here, total 43.5. It is Jake Bates bobblehead day, free for the first 2,000 fans. I've also been told you can enter for a chance to win tickets to Kendrick Lamar's stage construction. That's happening Saturday or Sunday, June 8th, I guess, about 2 o'clock Central. So
They're looking for volunteers. Is that what it is?
I think it's a front row seat. You know, you could watch them build the steps. I mean, you saw how awesome this stage was at the Super Bowl, right? Like, you want to behind the and no, don't ask for them to put the Stallions Panthers playoff game on the jumbotron. They will actually need the jumbotron to use the cameras to position the correct stage hands and everything like that. So yeah, if you want to win tickets to that and check it out, that's what's going on in Ford Field instead of a playoff game. So you might want to check that out. It's probably more expensive too on market than it would be for the Stallions playoff game. Listen, real quick on this one. Bryce Perkins going through the motions in practice. He logged a limited day on Tuesday. Not sure what the plan is for him. I know TPG and I have different opinions here. You say start him. I say bubble wrap him. It's not up to us. I guess Mike Nolan said in his presser this week that Rocky Lombardi, the third-string quarterback, former Michigan State Spartan, he's going to get some legitimate reps here. Didn't call him a starter, but did say he'd get reps. Actually might be a good situation here. I kind of like the move if they're going to play him most of the game. Houston is only practicing with 3 corners this week, so Rocky could carve up here. I mean, everybody's out. It's a mess. I could not believe this opened 9.5 because I wanted Houston really bad, plus 9.5. I pretty much impulse nuked them. Like, probably put a little more than I should have on that 9.5. It did move to 7, so decent CLV there for me. But then I saw the injury report and kind of got skeptical a little bit about what I did, but I'll ride with it. They don't have many DBs healthy, but maybe Justin Hall can play safety or, send him back, do something again. Nothing to really wake up for here if you're Michigan. You can technically clinch the 1 seed if you want the pride of winning the USFL division. If you win and the Stallions lose to Memphis, but I mean, we don't see that happening, right? So like, you might as well just go Rocky Lombardi early on here. You got nothing to lose. You just want to avoid injuries, and especially Michigan, right? They're already missing 5 starters on defense, and a defense, mind you, that looked awful against Birmingham. Like, they have some problems they need to fix. 11 for 13 they gave up on 3rd down in that game. Just mind-blowingly bad, TPG.
Yeah, you alluded to this. I also touched on this point on Sunday, but yeah, I think it's a big mistake if you don't get Perkins any reps in this game, even if it's just a drive. Like, just something to, wet his whistle for next week, just because I don't think that's a good scenario to set him up for success going up against a defense that's been playing really well in Birmingham, right? Like, you want him to be able to work out the kinks this week against a Houston squad that you mentioned, is struggling with injuries, especially at the defensive back position. So, but we'll see. I don't know. Mike Nolan makes questionable decisions. It wouldn't shock me if he did sit Perkins, but you said it too. Rocky Lombardi, that's the plan. Larson put out the tweet earlier this week that Nolan wanted to get him significant reps, and no shade on Rocky Lombardi, because I absolutely loved watching this guy play at NIU, Maction on the weeknights, but I just don't see like him coming in and having that much success. Granted, like, yeah, they still have a good run game, they still have receivers, but I was impressed by how that Houston defense did play last week, so I just don't see Rocky having much success against a defense in his first action. So Houston's playing to win, unlike Michigan, right? So I do love Houston this week, especially plus the points I got in early, 9.5. I would still feel comfortable taking it at 7. Yeah, but maybe Michigan pulls this one out. They played earlier in the year. They kind of ran away with it. So it also, side with caution, because Houston can self-destruct at any moment. But screw it. You know what? I'm going to take Houston back-to-back weeks. Roughnecks, let's get her done at Ford Field on Jake Bates bobblehead day.
I don't know here. Probably Houston. Let's go Houston. I mean, I said they'd finish 3-7, so I guess I'm reversing course. a little bit here. Maybe they could get to 5-5. And I think C.J. Johnson wants to flip one last bird on the way out. I think they're done. I hate to say it.
Really?
I don't want to play into rumors, but this team is done. I think they're relocating. I have a really bad feeling about this market, and I don't think CJ is going to be in the mix to relocate to Oakland, or he's going to be on the outside looking in if they don't keep the Roughnecks. Something we just talked to Brandon Silvers about. Like, it's just not. You're never going to get it back there unless you make a splash higher or something. So probably be better suited elsewhere. It'd be wild if this was the end of the Houston Roughnecks. So I'll take them plus 9.5 here, right?
Hell yeah.
Why not? I'm not going to take the money line or anything. And play the 7 too. I think, like you said, motivational spot. Maybe Mike Nolan.
Oh, no.
Mike Nolan will get him rallied a little bit because he likes to, talk about we get to elect kick or receive, and we get to take some interns and, maybe use the home locker room at Birmingham potentially. But yeah, I don't know. I think Houston probably too big of an underdog here.
I'm taking the money line. Yeah. It's juicy, why not?
I don't see them resting anybody really for any reason. So.
If CJ's coaching for his job too, like, hey.
You see that them leaving. Like if the Roughnecks came back next year, I think he'd probably come back. Like he's had a decent enough showing. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I truly don't know. Like, I don't know what
they seem like a 500 team.
But like, what do you do with this market? Like, there's just no hope left for it. And it would suck to see them lose their franchise. And I know they want to stay central to Texas, but if you're talking about relocation, Memphis and Houston are the obvious ones. You would have to do 2 teams, right? You can't just do one because then you got odd numbers. So, yeah, We'll see. We'll see what happens. But it would be wild if we're able to go back on this show and, like, this was the last game ever for the Houston.
No, let's just say it. The last ever Houston Roughnecks game. Well, take them.
Do or die then. They got to win it. Go out a winner. On to the next one. Sunday, 11 a.m. local kick, right in the middle of Joel Osteen. On some ABC affiliates, including the greater Chicago area. Arlington, San Antonio.
Wait, you got before. Yeah. I am so every single Sunday morning that kicks off at 11 o'clock. Never could get I have to stream it on the ESPN app because I turn Joel Osteen on. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, if you're watching in the Chicagoland area, I want, like, DM me. When does the UFL actually come on? Like, do you get in at like halftime or something? Like, dude, you gotta figure that out.
Listen,
like, don't play on ABC then. Go to ESPN.
TPG, like, you could use a little Jesus in your life.
No, I'm already fired up today, and I am a Sox fan, so they are God's team now. Shout out to Pope. So
you could use a little message from Joel.
God is on my side, and he's gonna watch. And with the new Pope, he's gonna watch over the Bears this year too. So maybe I could put in a little prayer request. Watch over my Battlehawks as well.
Yeah.
The team down the Mississippi. Like, just let them get it done this year. Let them beat your defenders. But all right, sorry for cutting you off, but I just had to make a comment about that because it really has pissed me off all year.
It's like that in San Antonio too on their ABC channel, KSAT. They get Osteen, so you're not going to be able to watch this game. Might as well go out to the Alamo Dome, see one last game. Renegades a 5.5-point road favorite here. Totals 41.5. I'll just cut straight to the chase. I love Arlington here. If you thought the Brahmas defense looked bad against Max Duggan and Brandon Silvers, wait until you see him trying to guard Tyler Vaughns. I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't know why this line is not 7 or 8. I mean, to me, it seems like Bob Stoops is clearly committed to playing Perez full game, regardless of what these games mean. I really needed to see that week 9, and they didn't take him out. I think Ehlers came in for his normal goal line package, and that was it. Perez played the full way. I expect him to again. This Arlington defense is just going to eat Kellen Mond alive. Willie Taylor, Chris Odom, 2 Defensive Player of the Year candidates coming off the edge. They've combined for 11.5 sacks. In the back end, really good pass defense. You got Jaden Price back there with Ajane Harris. Only thing San Antonio really has going for him here is they got Jayshon Corbin. He's been a real bright spot. Over 400 all-purpose yards last 3 games for him. 7 yards a carry. He did fumble last week. He got taken back for a touchdown, which is just brutal for his momentum. But he is putting some great film out there. Nice little 3-game stretch he's had. He's actually, TPG, only 40 yards back from Jacob Sailors right now.
No, I noticed that. Which the rushing this year's low key been a joke.
Yeah.
Like it's been horrible. Even like the passing yards too. Matt Corral was in the top 5 for passing, up until I believe, week 7 or 8, and that's like he played previously like 4 weeks prior to that. So I don't know. The yardage this year is something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But
I mean, I don't think he catches them. I mean, 40 yards. I mean, Sailors. Yeah, Sailors is going to need probably at least like 30 yards, or he could get caught.
probably.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's the last thing Jacob Sailors cares about right now. But, Arlington, good run defense. They did hold Memphis to under 50 yards on the ground last week. They're phenomenal up front. So I don't think you have to worry too much about Corbin. John Lovett's apparently back too, so he could maybe eat in some carries here. Quarterback-wise, I expect him to go pretty much a full game at Kellen Mond, even though he got taken to the cleaners last week on that last sack from Chris Garrett. Just got walloped off the edge. That couldn't have felt good. But, I mean, we know we're getting from him at this point. Something like 13 for 28 for 112 yards and a pick. I mean, he's just not able to throw for more than 200 yards. I am excited to see Perez. One more show here with the Renegade receiving core. I'm not going to entertain these retirement rumors. I've been hearing them flying around. There's no way. The only way that Luis Perez is not a Renegade next year is if Bob Stoops walks. That's it. He's coming back otherwise. They got a great thing going. Why would you leave? He's only 31. He might not even be 31 yet. He says in his interviews, like, he asks himself every year, do I love the process every day? Am I playing at a high level? Do I feel good? Does my family want me to play? And he's checking the yes box on every single one of those. So, like, he's not leaving. Like, he's as long as Bob, I'd be more concerned about Stoops if I was Renegades fans. I don't know if he's coming back. You would think he would, but yeah, I mean, I think Perez is like only 1,000 away too from 10K career passing.
Wow.
So that's something he wants to get. So he'll be back for sure, TPG.
So I'm going to zig where you zag. I'm calling this game the Battle of I-35, the Kellen Mond legacy game, right? This could be potentially this guy's last ever game of football he ever plays if he can't pull out an impressive performance. And yeah, like I said, this is a rivalry game. These two teams hate each other, and I'm sure the Brahmas are pissed that Arlington ran all over them that first game. So this is also the last opportunity for the Brahmas to get a win for their home fans in front of the Alamo Dome. They've waited all year. Obviously, unfortunate situation, only having 4 home games and 6 on the road. So I do think the Brahmas can pull this one out. I'm predicting a party at the Alamo Dome. I love the Brahmas to get this one done. Also, you mentioned Jayshon Corbin, but they do get John Lovett back this week too. So that could also help out the run game. But yeah, I'm all over the Brahmas in this spot, the home dog.
It would be a feel-good story for sure. Party deserves it. The talent level here, like, realistically, you're going to call me crazy for saying this. If Arlington found their way into these playoffs and, let's say, replaced, I don't know, Michigan or Birmingham, I honestly think they could win it. Like, I think they were 2 or 3 plays away from
Absolutely.
a championship. Like, they were that good. Like, some of these numbers that you see in the passing game, the receiving core is so deep, and they haven't been able to get the run game going. But, like, this defense, when you look at the metrics, like, it's against the run and the pass. They've been so good. They've been so improved. And they just had these critical mistakes, the calls that didn't go their way. So I don't want to keep making excuses for Arlington. Like, at the end of the day, they could still end up finishing 4-6. I mean, we saw them finish 4-6 regular season before and go on to win a title. So when this team heats up, like, they're at their best. And I think they will be, because I think Luis Perez is fired up ever since he threw that pick. Like, he is not sleeping. Like, I think he's just playing that on repeat. Like, I'm going to go absolutely insane because I threw that pick. So I would not want to be the San Antonio secondary. How are they going to cover anybody, TBG? I mean, you've seen these guys. They can't cover anybody. Like, they're not going to cover Vaughns or Burnett or Winstead, Canella. Like, there's just no shot.
Yeah, maybe that corner that the Battlehawks were picking on all game, he could, get a little extra motivation this week and step up. But we're talking about motivation, right? You got to think. Like I said, Kellen Mond, he's playing for his job. Coach Party, Peyton Party, he's coaching for his job. GM Lillibridge, he's coaching for his job. So it's like, hey, these guys need this win. They need bookend this season right. So I mean, and Arlington, they found every which way to lose, right? It's hard for me. I backed this team for so many weeks in a row, Matt. I stood on the chair against them when they played Birmingham. I stood on the chair against them when they played Michigan. I stood on the chair against them when they played DC, and they let me down every single time. I just, they lined my pockets with money last week, but I just can't double dip on this team. I got to zig where everyone else is gonna zag.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you go on LinkedIn right now, you could find the job application listed for San Antonio Brahmas GM and head coach.
Hell yeah.
No shot.
Let's hire Brandon Silvers to be the head coach. Maybe he has some connects in the football world that could, maybe be his GM.
How about June Jones?
Hey.
Bring him back. Run a little air
That'd be
raid.
great.
Yeah, I love the
maybe
the Bandits here, though, man. There's no talking me into San Antonio, which would actually be a 3-0 sweep for Arlington of Texas this year.
Really?
If they did it, yeah. Little consolation prize. They won't make the playoffs, but they get the little Texas trophy. All right, enough about that one. Last one here, Birmingham and Memphis. Stallions, 6.5-point road favorites. Totals 38.5. 84 and sunny at the Yacht Club Sunday afternoon. Game 40 of 40 in the regular season. Breaks my heart to say it. I cannot believe we're here already. Stallions do have some revenge on the mind, I'd say, right? After they got stunned in overtime back in week 5. I mean, that game was the Dresser win debut, had the kick 6, had the overtime drama. So, with the way Birmingham is playing right now, combined with the revenge factor, I think Skip will get him up for this game. I would not want to be Memphis here. Plus, Birmingham technically needs to win to lock up the 1 seed. And again, avoid the whole St. Louis situation where you don't want to be in a position where people, claim that your title, if you go on to win one, was controversial because you got something handed to you didn't earn. So that's something to play for. Plus, you talk about the coin toss and how the home team gets the pick. Skip is like the king of the coin toss. Like, how many times have we seen him go 2 for 1? They score going in a half, and they come out third quarter, get the ball, and they score again. So, he's going to want to defer if he gets that 1 seed against Michigan. So that's a little note there. I don't think you rest Jamar here, right? Like, no real reason to. I mean, he's been balling lately. You don't want to step in front of that train, right? Like, 569 pass yards last 2 games, 5 touchdowns. Man, Jamar. Like, if Jamar Smith doesn't light your fire this year, your wood's wet.
Oh yeah,
plain and simple. Like
yeah. I was gonna say you're mentioning Jamar, right? Yeah. Like he hasn't played a whole lot this year either, and like he's climbing up that passing leader chart too. So
that's a wild number. 569 yards in 2 games. Like, wow. Shout out Jamar, by the way. He retweeted the fastest 3 minutes.
Really? I missed that.
You got to get him on at some point. I know we only have a couple shows left, but he could be playing pretty deep into the postseason again if they keep playing this way. I think the line's probably right around where it should be here, 6.5. Dresser win is going to get to start again for Memphis here. I kind of nailed that when we were talking about it in week 8, and I said he's going to go Williams 8, Perry in week 9, and Dresser win week 10. Well, Perry was so bad last week they actually benched him for Dresser win. So they're just going to finish with Dresser here, and it's just a disgusting quarterback carousel they have going on. Over 38.5 is kind of a lean for me, especially with the good weather. I think Birmingham runs a ton of plays. If you watch this offense, they're just constantly on the field. They're high pace, high tempo, and Jamar's feeling it on third down. I mean, we talk about the 11 of 13 on third down against Michigan, keeping them on the field, extending drives. I'm also just reflecting on this season. I'm so impressed with how deep this wide receiver room is. They legitimately have 8 reliable targets. You got Kane, you got Marlon Williams, Amari Rogers, Jalen Camp, Davis. Your tight ends are really good. in Thomas and Sternberger, Cade Johnson, like
Magoo. Yeah.
yeah, might as well, right? Might as well. He ain't gonna play quarterback, so you got to do something with him. But yeah, like you think about other teams, like maybe you get 3 or 4 solid options. DC maybe has 4, but like you have 8 pass catchers here. Like that's insane. So he has abundance of goods to work with, and I really think that this is setting up pretty well for them, TBG.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with your handicap. I think this is a smash spot. A smash spot for the Stallions, and I kind of don't even understand why Turner's going away from Troy Williams. Like he pulled out that win in San Antonio, and then the next week you just go off, like you go back to Perry. Like we know what Perry is. He's not great. He lost you that Houston game.
You become a Troy Williams apologist. Are you kidding me?
I'm a Troy Williams truther. Write it.
14 passing yards in a win.
But they won. Like they looked good. So I don't care who it's against. Like I don't understand why you're not going with a hot hand in this with the offense. So yeah, I love the Stallions this week. And this team is much improved from when they played back in week 5. Jamar has basically completely rejuvenated this offense. This is not the same Stallions stagnant offense you saw at the beginning of the year. So yeah, I love Birmingham this week, and they've historically dominated Memphis for the majority, right? I kind of went into the stats more so when they played back in week 5, and I ate a pile of shit on that, but not going to list them off again. But I do think Birmingham definitely has the edge over the Boats, who just haven't seemed to fully put it together. They've been in a lot of games this year, right? They've made it close, but they need OT to get it done, and I don't see it happening on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple back in week 5. If you don't give up a 108-yard kick 6, you win that game. Like, just
exactly, yeah.
Complete dumbassery by their special teams coach or like whoever made that decision to kick that field goal, and then not have the guys out there to try to tackle a returner. Like, just a disaster. Birmingham should have won that game. They also had a flag that in overtime that prolonged the game and allowed, I think, Memphis to get a 2-pointer without actually scoring it. So just bizarre turn of events throughout that game. And ever since then, they've found ways to win. Like, they swore to themselves they would never make those kind of mistakes, and they haven't. So I like Birmingham as well. I think this is probably Jim Turner's last game as a UFL head coach. I think maybe he'll pull a rabbit out of the hat with some Massachusetts magic from the old Boston boy.
Shit. What time is it? Oh wait, fuck. Dude, I'm going to a bachelor party in Vegas this week. One of my buddies' roommates from one of my buddies, my roommate from college. It's his bachelor party, so I gotta give me a second. I gotta check into this flight, okay?
What could go wrong? TPG in Vegas, and he's not even going to see the Vipers. They don't play at Cashman Field anymore. He's going for a bachelor party? Well, I was looking forward to this rivalry. Maybe not so much anymore. He might not be here. Next show. Let's do some best bets real quick. Right now, things are going all right. We got a little turnaround here in the last couple weeks. I think we're 5-1 the last 2 weeks, so good to see. I was not expecting to go 2-1 last week because it's kind of a weird week to try to bet, but we got it done, and now we got 2 plays on the last 4-game slate of the year. Like I said, we're going to go Houston plus the 9.5. I think it's a massive number. I know Houston lost by 12 in the last meeting, but if you're going to get a lot of Rocky Lombardi here, if you're Michigan, I don't really have the faith in him to be covering a big number like that. I know the number got bet down to 7. Keep an eye on Houston as far as who they have personnel-wise back there. DBs aren't looking healthy. I think they only had 3 of them in practice as far as the corners this week and a couple safeties. So I like, as long as Perkins doesn't play a full game here, I like Houston plus the 9.5. And I'm going to go the Bandits minus 3.5 again. And to me, it's the same situation I took them last week against Memphis. Runaway cover, no problem at all. Was never in doubt. I see that again. Brahmas don't match up. Perez is going to get what he wants here, even if San Antonio figures out a way to have some offensive fireworks. Like, this could be like a pretty big over spot as well. I hate betting overs when San Antonio's involved because they move the ball but they don't score. And their kicker misses everything. So I could see like this getting out of hand though and being like 46-22 or something crazy. Like Perez is just going to go off. So those are the plays for week 10. Again, I think we're 15-11 total on the season. So no matter what, even if we lose 2 in a row here, we're going to finish over 500 for this season. I want to thank everybody. If you tailed, I made you a little bit of money, couple bucks, TPG.
Well, since I am going to Vegas this weekend, I already placed this parlay on the ESPN bet app because I know me and you have a vendetta against them and we're trying to bankrupt them. But I do plan on placing this wager when I touch down in the great city of Las Vegas. So, whoa, did I almost say Defenders? Jesus, no. St. Louis, these are all spread picks. St. Louis, Roughnecks, Birmingham, Stallions, Jesus, dude. St. Louis, Roughnecks, Brahmas, Stallions, all in a parlay. Took this when the lines first came out at plus 1,100, so I don't know, probably not as good of value when I get to Vegas, but I'm still gonna take it. Maybe I'll get down on a little money line dog parlay too with the 2 Texas teams. I like Houston and San Antonio both as dogs to get it done.
Little disclaimer here, these picks do not reflect the official record of Springball Boulevard. Let that be known. They are complete long shots, and you'd have a better chance at a lottery ticket. So if you want to take TPG's advice instead, just take your ass out to the gas station, get a scratcher, and do that. You have a better chance of winning. I can't believe this guy's taking the Bravos. He's learned nothing in 9 weeks. It's blowing my mind.
Yeah, you should put a big disclaimer here at the bottom saying like,
we do not give financial advice.
Exactly, because I completely botched that too. So
especially when it's going to be like Sunday afternoon. It's going to be like 9 a.m. Pacific. And
I know
I'm going to be
that's
blowing
like
up your phone every time Perez throws a touchdown, and you're not even going to be awake yet. You're just going to be completely slumped from the night before, and I'll be sending you just highlights of just the Renegades just covering by large amounts the whole afternoon. And you'll be maybe you can get Joel Osteen out in Vegas too. Maybe that'll be a cable channel.
Yeah, no. Hey, I'll send video proof. But 9 a.m. on Sunday, I'm gonna be at Circa Las Vegas with a vodka soda in my hand, living and dying with every play of this Texas Throwdown
at the Stadium Swim. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, go to the pool. It's $20 to get in.
Really, it's that?
Yeah,
okay.
It'll be nice out there. Good time of year to go to Vegas. I remember I was out there for a Vipers game a couple of years ago around this time of year, and we did the whole media tour. We got in the VEASAN Live.
Yeah, I wanted you to get me a VEASAN spot. Just imagine if they would be like, dude, who is this idiot?
I would just tell them it was me and then send you in instead. They probably wouldn't know the difference. You could just be me for the day.
Yeah, I could probably pull out a good impersonation.
Yeah, they don't care about the show. They don't care about what I look like. They just want winners, right? It's Vegas, baby.
Exactly.
Right?
I'll give out winners. Don't worry.
All right, go ahead and plug the socials, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, we have Instagram, TikTok at SpringballBLV. Follow, like, comment, share, do all that good stuff. Also, I do have to make a side note, Matt. I am accepting donations for Sunday night in Las Vegas because since I'm so dedicated to this show, I opted to fly out Monday instead of Sunday so we can still record. So still don't have a hotel room booked for Sunday. So if you want to, give me my kickback royalties, that EA Sports paid you, maybe I could get a hotel room too so I don't have to sleep in the tunnels of Las Vegas. But yeah, social media, I'll plug it again, at SpringballBLVD, Instagram, TikTok, follow, like, comment, share, do all that good stuff. Really appreciate the support, and yeah, just looking forward to get through another week of UFL, and then finally the playoffs will be here.
Yeah, last 2 weeks has just been all this anticipation building, and when we started this thing back in March, we know there were a lot of changes on the Boulevard. We said in episode 1, we're under construction this year as we kind of move into this new era. And now that we're fully into it here, 20 episodes in this season, I cannot believe that exactly what we hoped for is now playing out in front of our eyes. What we promised everybody when we dropped that commercial back in mid-March was me sitting on the toilet with a newspaper in a DC jersey reading about AJ McCarron leaving and TPG losing his mind because he was in doubt. Would his Battlehawks make it? Well, they've made it. DC has also turned around and made it after not making the playoffs last year. And now, what is setting up for next week is going to single-handedly be the best content that you can find anywhere on the UFL. Because this isn't just some game to us. We will genuinely hate each other for the next 2 weeks because of how this thing is set up. And I honestly cannot wait.
It's going to be a banger. Absolute banger. Can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
As long as you survive Vegas, just come back alive. Is all
yeah, I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
We got a championship game to make. Win or lose.
Exactly.
Win or
I gotta
lose.
be
Somebody's going to be. We're going to have to be there June 14th regardless. So.
I got to be able to drive down there too. Yeah. So no suspended license, none of that. On my best behavior.
Yeah, just don't forget your real ID. They're checking those in the airport now.
Yeah, shit. I forgot.
For the St. Louis scumbag TPG, I am Matty Fresh. You always remember there's no such thing as football season. We're going to get TPG live in Vegas to recap the Battlehawks loss in Week 10. We'll see you then.